end of last week, we started talking about graphing common functions. And at the end of the last week, we specifically talked about how do we graph linear functions, whether they're horizontal flat lines, vertical lines, or diagonal lines. And then we went as far as reviewing how do we graph absolute value functions. Both of these things are things you would have learned in 8th and 9th grade, but we covered those again. So I would like you to take out the stapled packet, find the one that says class notes. Let's just do a quick review, just a real quick review. So we are bumping back to 8th and 9th grade today, and then we're going to build upon it as we get into reviewing quadratic functions, square root functions, and cubic functions. So here's the very first one. When you see f of x equals a value, so f of x equals 4, for instance. Let me switch to a pen here. F of x equals 4. A lot of times there is confusion among students. Remember, that is the same thing as y equals 4. And so I recognized last week a lot of students were making some really small mistakes. How do you graph the line y equals 4? You go on the y-axis and you find 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and find 4. I'm going to locate it with a dot. And now I'm going to create a linear or straight line that goes directly through the y-axis. And in fact, it's not only going to go directly through it, it's going to intersect it, making a 90-degree angle. Every point along this line has a y value of 4. I just want to demonstrate that for you. This is the point, 1, 4. This is the point over here, negative 3, 4. Every point along this line has a y value of 4. Next up, let's do the line x equals negative 2. So I go on the x-axis to negative 2, and now I'm going to cut straight through the x-axis, perpendicularly intersecting the x-axis. Every point along this vertical line has an x value of negative 2. So this is negative 2, 0, negative 2, 1, negative 2, 2, and so on. Okay, I think you're all pretty good with graphing things like this. I would not personally do number 3. You're welcome to watch me. The only common mistake I saw with this, if you're looking up here, the only common mistake I saw with this is what happens when the negative sign is at the same level as the division sign. That's the only thing that I saw students find confusion with last week. So I am starting at positive 5. This negative sign is going to bump up, and I'm going to drop down 2 using the slope as rise over run. Drop down 2 and run 3, making a dot. Drop down 2 and run 3, making a dot. And then now taking my ID, connecting those, and continuing it. So we have this diagonal. Excuse me. Absolute value we went over last week as well. And we also learned it freshman year, and we reviewed it at the beginning of the school year. Now here's where I'm going to throw a hard one at you right away. Negative 2 times absolute value of x plus 1 plus 4. We're going to slow this down right now, and I'm going to ask that you grab that toolbox. Okay, can you do me a favor, please, Elijah? Can you grab the paper that says toolbox and please take up 2 or 3 of those to me? Okay, so how am I going to do this? The first thing I'm going to do is I have to identify this as being one of the special functions we're talking about. This is absolute value, and this is the most basic, called the parent function of absolute value. And so I'm going to use this list of values, this input and output values, to help me in graphing this. The first thing we're going to do is we need to recognize that there is a translation here. I'm going to take this graph and I'm going to move it. It lies to me on the inside, and it tells the truth on the outside. So I'm going to shift 1 to the left, don't make a dot, and go 4 up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And although this is not a math term, I'm going to make a bullseye. It's not a math term, but let's make a bullseye. If you are not very confident with graphing, then I'm going to have you go back over the top of these and cross these out. We're done with those. We've used those. We've translated this function to the left one, and we've translated up 4. What is next? Now we need to apply this value up front. Now this is changing what the shape of this V is. So absolute value functions make it a V shape, and that V can be wider or it can be skinnier. It also can open up down, or it can open up down and it can be wide, or it can open up down and be skinny. How we determine that is a value up front. And so what I'd like you to do right now is not to write on this paper. Don't write on this paper. but I'm going to take this value times the y value. So I find absolute value, I go to the y's, and I'm going to take each one of these times the value up front, which happens to be negative 2, times negative 2, times negative 2, times negative 2. These are my new directions on how to create this transformed function. So this bullseye for every common function is 0, 0. Pay close attention, you have a quiz tomorrow. And your quiz is in a new category that's 20% of your overall grade. Okay, ready? So here is 0, 0. I'm coming back here. I know I've already graphed 0, 0. It does not matter whether I graph these points or these points first. It doesn't matter. This means move to the right one because it's positive, and then move down 2. Right 1, down 2. Right 1, down 2. I go back to the bullseye. I've taken care of these two. I go right 2 and down 4. Right 2, down 4. Right 2, down 4. Then I go back to the bullseye, left 1 because it's negative, and down 2. And then left 2 and down 4. I'm going to do those at the same time. Left 1, down 2, and left 2, down 4. There we go. This is my transformed function. If speed is not a factor, I'm talking specifically about question 4. Can I have a 1 through 5 on how well you understand it? 1 through 5. Okay, here we go. I want you to practice one right now. I don't care which number it is, so if you did do 3 and you have space for 4, that's fine, it doesn't matter. Here is your problem. Y equals 3 absolute value of x minus 2 minus 6. I'm going to press pause. I'm recording this for anybody who's gone or needs to see this again before you take the quiz tomorrow. So I'm going to start by going to the right 2, so 2 to the right, don't make a dot, and I'm going to drop down 6. 2, 4, 6. And I'm going to cross these out in case any of you were confused. Now, if there's any number out front that's anything other than a positive one, negative 1 is an example of something different than positive 1. Anything different than positive 1, I need to come over here. I need to go to the y's, and I'm going to take this value for absolute value function times, in this case, times 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 3, 1 times 3, 2 times 3. So now I know 0, 0 is going to be the bullseye. I'm going to go 1 to the right and 3 up. 1 to the right and up 3. 1, 2, 3. 2 to the right and up 6. 2 to the right and up 6. Bless you. 1 to the left, up 3, and 2 to the left and up 6. Connecting those, I do need to see your dots. So if you simply make a V shape and I can't see the distinct dots, you will receive no credit tomorrow. Let's talk about square root functions. If you did not know this, there is a hidden number right here. That's something you should have known from 8th grade, 9th grade. If you did not know this, you want to write this down. This is a hidden really small number called a 2. It's an nth root. Make sure all earbuds are out, all cell phones are put away if you are a student. Tutor's different. This is a hidden 2. Does it matter? It does, because this year and the next month, we're going to change this to a 3, and it's called a cube root function. This is a square being 2. This is a square root function. And so what you should have learned in 8th and 9th grade is the value underneath the square root function can be as low as 0, but we cannot have any value lower than 0, or it turns into something called an imaginary number, which we have not learned yet. I'll give you an example. You're just watching. I can take the square root of 0 and I get an output. Great. I can take the square root of 1, I get an output. But if I try taking the square root of a negative 1, it says error. We can't do it. We can't get a real number. It would give you a non-real answer. We're only working with real functions right now. So the smallest number is 0. The square root of 0 is 0. Square root of 1 is 1. You may be wondering, why am I missing 2 and 3? The reason I'm not doing 2 and 3 is because although they exist, they're ugly. They provide me with irrational numbers. I don't want to try to graph the point 2 and then 1.4 or 3 and 1.7. So the numbers I plug in here in order to make this easy, these are going to be called perfect squares. If you don't know this, you should be writing this down. If you feel confident, you don't have to. Why is it important that you know there's a hidden 2 here? This means what two exact same numbers do I multiply by each other to come up with this value? Please watch. If 1 is here, what times what multiplies to give you 1? 1. If 4 is here, what two exact same numbers multiply by each other to give you 4? 2 times 2. If 9 is here, what two numbers exactly the same multiply to give you 9? 3 times 3. So what would be the next number that would be plugged in? Anybody know? 25 is one of them, but we skipped one. But 25 is 16. So we could do 16 and 4, 25, 5, 36, 6, and so on. Okay, here we go. We're now going to go ahead and we are going to graph this. Remember, everything comes back to this. Let's look right now at number 6. Let's look at number 6. I'm going to have you put your pencil or pen down. We're going to do 2 problems. One is you watch the first one. The second and the third is going to be a partner rotation or partner talk, and then you're going to try one. So you are not writing down the next 3 problems. You're only watching. So the first thing I do is I'm going to look for that shift. You were just watching. I'm looking, oh, it lies to me, just like it lied to me, just like it lied to me here, it's going to lie to me here. So I'm going to go to the right one because it lies to me and it tells me the truth. So right 1 and up 3. This is my bullseye, and then I'm going to cross this out. I don't want there to be any confusion. This big 2 is not the same as little hidden 2. This is referred to as an nth root. This is just a large 2. So this needs to be multiplied by the y values. So over here, I'm going to take each of these values, and I'm going to take it times 2. So 0 times 2 is 0, times 2, times 2, and times 2. When we find the bullseye, it's always our 0, 0. So there's 0, 0. Now I'm going to go 1 to the right and 2 up. 1 to the right and 2 up. I'm going to go 4 to the right and 4 up. From here, 4 to the right and then 4 up. And I can see I should go 9 to the right and 6 up, but 9 to the right is going to be way off the graph. So this gives me an idea of what this looks like. Okay, looking at 7, I'm going to partner you up for 7 right now. You're going to write nothing down. So you 2 are talking, talking, you 2 are talking, talking, talking. Give me 1 second. Luis, can you do me a favor? You can grab your tablet, you can over here. Actually, can you do me a favor, Joseph? You just sit right here. Or Angel. Angel, if you're going to talk over here, you 2 are going to be talking. So give me a favor. Okay, are you ready? You will not write anything down. You're just going to talk through the process. I'm going to stop you in 20 seconds. Here we go. What does this look like? I'm going to give you right now some time. You're writing nothing down. You're only talking. You're not graphing. What does this look like? I'm purposely trying to trick you. Begin. I'm purposely trying to trick you. That 2 can be in front, that 2 can be in back, but what I want you to notice is that this 2 is not the same as example 6. Example 6, the 2 is stuck with it. It's separated by a plus sign. So these 2 are equivalent looking square root functions. I'm first going to go to the right 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to shift up 2. This is my new bullseye. This is my new bullseye. Now, there is no number directly in front that's stuck other than a 1, so I don't need to multiply by the y's. So these are my directions. 0, 0, that's always the bullseye. This says go over 1 and up 1. Okay, over 1, up 1. Over 4, up 2. Over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 2. And then we can see going over 9 and up 3 would be too far. Give me a 1 through 5 of how well you feel like you understand. 1 through 5. If you're not giving me any numbers, I assume you're not listening. Okay, here's your next one. Y equals -1 square root of x plus, now let's change it up. X minus 2 plus 5. Talk to your partner. What would you do? And then I will go over it. I'm going to give you 20 seconds. What would you do? Go. Don't leave anybody out. Talk to your partner. What would you do? Am I going to go left or right? Right 2 and up 5. Right 2 and up 5. That's my new bullseye. I don't want there to be any confusion. I'm going to cross it out. Now, when do I have to multiply by the y's? Only when the value in front is anything other than +1. Negative 1 is different than positive 1. So I'm going to take each of these values times negative 1. 0, negative 1, negative 2, and negative 3. This is my point. So 0, 0, that's my point. Then it says to the right 1, and this means down 1. Right 1, down 1. Right 4, down 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 2. And then it'd be right 9 and down 3, which is off the grid. This is what I have. Okay, next one you're going to actually do, and this time is with your partner. Number 9 for me. Put your makeup away, please. Number 9 for me, you will actually do with your partner. Number 10, you will do on your own. So I'm going to try to trick you here. I'm going to purposely try to trick you. Okay, with your partner. By the way, this is like x plus 0, if that helps you. Ready, get set, and begin. I'm going to give you 1 minute. I'm going to press pause on the video. All right, so what am I doing here? When there's no value inside, or underneath the square root, it means I'm not going to move to the left or right. So there wouldn't have to be a 0 here. If there's no value inside, I'm not moving left or right. I'm staying. Now, how do I know which one I'm doing here? Some students think, am I supposed to subtract 4 minus 3? This 4 is the same thing as putting 4 in the end. And so if you want to rewrite it when you have it, that's okay. I want you to recognize the way the author writes it. I don't want you to be confused. So I'm going to go not to the left or to the right, but I am going to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my new bullseye. I've taken care of the 4. And the only thing I have left is there is a negative 1 in front. Now, I'm lucky I'd already taken the y's times negative 1 for the last problem. So 0, 0 is always my bullseye. I'm going to go to the right 1 and down 1. Right 1, down 1. Right 4, down 2. And right 9, down 3. 2, 4, 6, 7. Be right about here and down 3. And we can see the shape. We're going to take a practice quiz question. I'll walk to the groups that have no tutors. If you have a tutor, you're going to check with your tutor. This is the problem I would like you to attempt to do. That is your problem. I'm going to press pause. See how you guys did. I'm going to start with that translation, horizontal and vertical. I'm going to go to the left 5. It lies to me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to go up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This is my new bullseye. How many of you were able to at least go to the right spot for the bullseye? Hands up high. Okay, good majority of us. Good. And now I'm going to take each of the y values times negative 2. It will be a timed quiz tomorrow. It's also in the section that is new, so it is 20% of your overall grade. You do want to take time to study. Taking it times negative 2, times negative 2, and times negative 2. How does this help me? 0, 0 is my bullseye. This tells me the directions from the bullseye go 1 to the right and down 2. 1 to the right and down 2. Then I'm going to go 4 to the right and down 4. 4 to the right and down 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Last, I'm going to go 9 to the right. So 9 to the right is all the way here, and I'm going to go down 6. If speed's not a factor for this particular problem, 1 through 5 in your level of understanding of how to do it. An honest 1 through 5. Okay, this video will be posted for anybody who needs. Let's look real quick at quadratic and cubic. Quadratic, these are the parent functions. So when you take negative 2 and you square it, to negative 1 squared, and so on. We know that when we take a value, whether it's positive or negative, and we square it, or the exponent degree is even, we always get a positive result. Well, it's different when it's negative. When we have, it's different when it's an odd degree. When it's an odd degree, the outcome will be reflected of what the original sign on the input was. So negative 2 cubed means negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. 3 negatives makes a negative. Same thing here. Okay, you ready? So I want you to put your pencil or pen down, please. Pencil or pen down. I want you to look up here, and you're going to be talking to your partner or partners. So most of you are in groups of 2. Please look at this. What's the first thing you would do? Well, the first thing you do is you identify what's the common function. So is this linear, absolute? Is it a square root? Is it quadratic? Is it cubic? I see the square, I know it's quadratic. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find where's the new translated. So where's that bullseye? I'm going to go to the right 3 because it lies to me and down 5. You're just watching 1, 2, 3 and down 5. 2, 4, and 5. That is my bullseye. Now from the bullseye, the number out front that's stuck with it is a 2. So everything in the Y gets multiplied by 2. It slightly changes the shape. Remember, it can open up faster and be skinnier. And 0, and 2, and 8. And I'm going to use these ordered pairs. So 0, bless you, 0, 0 is always going to be my bullseye. Now, they're just 0, 0. I'm going to go right 1 and up 2, and right 2 and up 8. So over 1, up 2, and over 2, and up 8. Then it says left 1, up 2, and left 2, up 8. Left 1, up 2, and left 2, up 8. And instead of having a V shape, we now have this parabola that is a U shape. Are you ready? Here we go, on your own. Y equals -1 x plus 4 quantity squared plus 3. I'm going to press pause. I would like you to graph the function in my number 12. So how do I know which function I'm working with? Well, I see the square. The square is right here, so I know I'm working with quadratic. I'm first going to go to the left 4 and up 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 3. 1, 2, and 3. This is going to be where my new bullseye is. And again, if you're confused with graphing, come over here right away and cross those out. We've taken care of those. How do I know? You're going to turn to your partner and answer this. How do I know whether I get to just use the values -2, 4, -1, 1, 0, 0, and so on? Well, how do I know whether I get to use those or whether I have to multiply the y side something? What tells you that? Yeah, if the number in front is anything other than -1, we multiply. So this becomes -4. This becomes -1, 0. Again, -1 and -4. So from this point way over here, from this point, I'm going to go left 1, down 1. Left 1, down 1. And then it says left 2, down 4. Left 2, down 4. Then right 1, down 1, and right 2, down 4. That is our function. Speed's not a factor. I appreciate your honesty, and if it's a 1 or 2, that's okay. That's just where you are now. It doesn't mean you can't improve. 1 through 5 in your level of understanding with this. 1 through 5. Okay, looks like our average is somewhere 3 to 4, but not everybody's there. Some people are higher, some people are lower. That's okay. You're going to have time to practice. We're going to move on to cubic. You ready? Here we go. 13, please write this down. Y equals, now I'm going to try to throw you off here again. Let's say it is going to be 3 plus x minus 1 cubed. So the first thing we do is we identify what type of function. Because I see degree 3, I come over here and I go, okay, which common function? It's going to be cubic. This is the directions I'm going to use. Now here's where students are probably going to get confused. Is that 3 stuck to the front of it? It is not. So many of you are going to want to rewrite this as x minus 1 cubed plus 3. They're the same thing. The 3 is not stuck in front. So I'm going to start by going to the right to 1 and going up 3. This is my new bullseye. The number in front is a positive 1. I don't need to worry about changing the y values. So this is a new function. This is always 0, 0, your bullseye. So I'm going to go right 1, up 1. Right 1, up 1. Then right 2, up 8. Well, that's going to be way off the graph. But right 2, up 8 looks like it's probably somewhere in here. Then I'm going to go left 1, down 1, and left 2, down 8. I'm going to ask another question specific to these points. Listen very closely before you throw up numbers. How many of you understand, once we find the bullseye, how to use these points to create the graph? 1 through 5. What's your level of confidence in using these points to create the graph once you find the bullseye? 1 through 5. Okay? It is time to practice. Here we go.